Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So Wednesday is Wildcard Wednesday, and we have a pretty spicy one today. So last week for our Brewers Minute, we talked about a bunch of under-the-radar infinite combos in Modern, and I happened across a list, and it's a couple years old, featuring one of those combos. This is Mindcrank Combo for Modern. This was played by Nishida Kazuki to an undefeated finish in a Japanese tournament a couple of years ago now, so congrats to Kazuki on their finish with the deck. A quick reminder before we break it all down, if you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, and leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So Mindcrank Combo is built around the combo of Mindcrank and Duskmantle Guildmage, and the basic idea of this deck is we get both of those cards on the battlefield, we activate the first ability of Duskmantle Guildmage, which makes it so whenever a card is put in our opponent's graveyard from anywhere this turn, that opponent loses a life, and that is going to create an infinite loop with Mindcrank, because Mindcrank says whenever opponent loses life, that player puts that many cards from his or her library into his or her graveyard. So this creates a loop where if we can deal a single damage to our opponent or get a single card to go into our opponent's graveyard, we are going to mill our opponent's entire library and deal damage to our opponent equal to the number of cards in their library. So we will likely kill our opponent by damage, but it also mills them out if the need be. So that's kind of what this deck is trying to assemble, but really this is sort of a blue-black tempo-y control deck, and this is our finisher. This is how we are planning on closing out the game. So we're not super dedicated to like trying to play this on turn 2, turn 3, and win as quickly as possible. We're more playing a relatively fair game and then using the combo of Duskmantle Guildmage in Mindcrank as just a really hard to interact with finisher once we kind of get in control of the game. So Muddle the Mixture can counter instant or sorcery, which is reasonable, but the big payoff here is you can transmute for 3, which means you discard it and search for a card with the same converted mana cost. Just so happens that both Mindcrank and Duskmantle Guildmage are the same converted mana cost as Muddle the Mixture, so really it's a 3 mana tutor for either half of our combo. So we can have Mindcrank and Duskmantle Guildmage in our hand, which is great, or you can have like Duskmantle Guildmage and Muddle the Mixture, and that's almost as good as having the combo because we can transmute Muddle to get the missing half, the Mindcrank, and then combo off. As far as protecting our combo, we have Spellskites, also good against Boggles, and in fact, just a modern staple at this point. And then as far as getting cards into our opponent's graveyard, we don't have a lot of awesome things. We're not really maximizing that with like gut shots and janky cards like that. Like I said, we're really a control deck that uses the combo as a finisher, but Disfigure, 1 mana, can kill an opposing creature, goes to their graveyard of course, we can combo off. Vapor Snag makes our opponent lose a life, which would start the combo of the Mindcrank and the Duskmantle Guildmage. So these are both 1 mana ways to start the loop once we have the combo assembled. Then we can just counter something our opponent does. So our opponent goes to, I don't know, Lightning Bolt us, cast a creature, we activate Duskmantle Guildmage, mana leak it, spell pierce it, goes into our opponent's graveyard. Remand, just kind of for value, lets us cycle through our deck, slow down our opponent a little bit. Circumvisions helps us set up the combo, cycling through our deck. Inquisition, another really easy way to get a card in our opponent's graveyard. We get the combo set up, we activate Duskmantle Guildmage. Inquisition, doesn't even matter what we pick, we just pick whatever card we want to, goes in our opponent's graveyard, they die on the spot thanks to the Mindcrank combo. And then for the rest of the creatures, Dark Confidant takes advantage of the fact that we're pretty low converted mana cost, lets us draw some cards, just a reasonable 2-drop, and then Vendilion Click can kind of make sure the coast is clear for our combo, disrupt our opponent's hand a little bit. Also a 3/1 Flyer, which is a decent backup plan for winning the game. We can just beat down with these tempo-y creatures backed by removal and counters. As far as the mana base, Creeping Tar Pit lets us kill Planeswalkers, can get in some damage, a bunch of blue-black duels, and then we have Cavern of Souls to make our Duskmantle Guildmage uncounterable, Ghost Quarters for Tron, some basic lands. In the sideboard, we have Steel Sabotage and Hurkyl's Recall as answers to Affinity primarily, and then we have a bunch more removal. Damnation can wipe the board, card Doomblade and a Thoughtseize as additional discard. Torpor Orb shuts down creatures entering the battlefield as far as their triggered abilities. And then Mindbreak Trap can answer Storm decks, can also be reasonable against decks like Thing Ascension or even some of the combo-y and Factor Death Shadow decks, Monastery Swiftspear decks that are looking to play a bunch of spells in the same turn to win with creatures. And then Echoing Truth bounces whatever we need to bounce, and Shred Memory gives us more ways to tutor for our combo since it also is a 2 converted mana cost card with Transmute. So it's essentially Muddle the Mixture, and it gives us some graveyard hate, which is kind of nice. In some matchups against Dredge, for an example, or Snapcaster decks, this is a better Transmute card than Muddle the Mixture because exiling 4 cards from our opponent's graveyard is way better than countering instant or sorcery. And that is Mindcrank Combo for Modern, and that's been our instant deck for today. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon.